Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving deep into a truly epic tale of divine courage. On the sixth day of Navratra, we celebrate Maa Katyayani, the sixth form of Ma Durga. And her story? Wow, it is one of the most powerful narratives of good finally triumphing over evil. So, let's get right into this incredible legend together.
To really get into the spirit of this story, let's start with this iconic Sanskrit shloka. It just so beautifully captures the essence of that divine feminine power, or Shakti. And that's the very force that resides in all of us. And it's right at the heart of the legend we're about to explore.
Okay, so every great story of heroism needs a really bad guy, right? Well, in this tale, our villain is the demon king Mahishasur. His reign of terror had plunged all three worlds, heaven, earth, and the netherworld, into absolute chaos and darkness.
So you might be wondering, how did this guy get so incredibly powerful? Well, as you can see, it was kind of like a three-step plan. Mahishasur performed years and years of intense penance to please the creator god Brahma. And when Brahma finally appeared, Mahishasur made a very cunning request, a boon that would make him invincible to any god or any man. And this, right here, was his fatal flaw. In his arrogance, he totally discounted the power of a woman. So, armed with what he thought was total invincibility, he just went on a rampage, conquering everything and spreading unrighteousness everywhere he went.
You can just imagine the scene, right? The gods are totally defeated, powerless. They've been kicked out of their own celestial homes. Their authority is gone. Their worlds are in ruins. So, in absolute desperation, they go to the only ones who can help, the divine trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, literally begging for a way to end this tyranny. And it's from that moment of complete and utter despair that a new hope was finally born. The gods' plea basically ignited a divine response, and it led to the creation of a hero who was destined to bring the cosmos back into balance. So, how exactly was our hero created? This is where the story gets so cool. Hearing about the gods' terrible situation, the Trinity became enraged. And from them and all the other gods, a brilliant, fiery energy, a divine tej, started pouring out. All of this light came together, it coalesced, and formed a magnificent female figure. Lord Shiva's energy literally formed her face. Lord Vishnu's created her arms, and Lord Brahma's formed her feet. This was the primordial power herself, Adi Shakti.
Okay, but why the name Katyayani? Well, at the very same time this was all happening, a great sage named Katyan was deep in his own prayers, hoping that the Divine Mother would be born as his daughter. And to honor his incredible devotion, this divine energy actually manifested right there in his hermitage. He was the very first person to worship her, and so, in his honor, she lovingly accepted the name Katyayani.
Now, to get her ready for the battle of a lifetime, the gods armed her with their most powerful weapons. She literally became the embodiment of their collective might. As we can see here, Shiva gave his trident, Vishnu his discus, Indra his thunderbolt, and the Himalayas gifted her a magnificent lion to be her mount. She was now fully equipped to face the demon king.
So she's armed to the teeth with divine weapons. The stage is officially set for one of the most epic showdowns you can imagine. And this wasn't just a battle of strength. This was a cosmic war between Dharma, or righteousness, and its opposite, adharma.
Imagine this. She arrives at the edge of Mahishasur's kingdom, and instead of a quiet entrance, she lets out this thunderous roar that shakes the entire cosmos. It was a sound that struck pure fear into the hearts of the demons, but gave so much hope to the heavens. She openly challenged Mahishasur, and her fearless attitude was a huge contrast to his arrogant dismissal of her as, just a woman.
Now, this wasn't a quick fight. It was this long, grueling war that happened in a few key stages. First, Maa Katyayani just swiftly annihilated Mahishasur's huge army. Then, seeing his forces crumbling, Mahishasur finally enters the fight himself, using his shape-shifting powers to try and confuse her. But she countered every single move, until finally, totally exhausted and cornered, he went back to his original form, a monstrous buffalo, for one last stand.
All right, this is it. The moment everyone, the gods in the heavens, the people on earth had been waiting for. The final, decisive showdown that would determine the fate of the entire cosmos. Mahishasur, knowing it's now or never, gathers every last bit of his power and charges forward in one last, desperate attack. But in an incredible display of power and grace, Maa Katyayani leaps from her lion, meeting his ferocious charge head-on.
And in that one critical moment, she just completely overpowers him. With divine strength, she pins his head to the ground with her foot. And just like that, the supposedly invincible Demon King is rendered completely helpless.
And this is the moment that changes everything. Raising Lord Shiva's trident high, she plunges it into him with a single powerful thrust. And in that instant, Mahishasura's reign of terror was finally over. The boon that protected him from gods and men was completely undone by the divine feminine power he so foolishly looked down on.
Whew! The battle was won. But the story? It doesn't just end there with the fight. It ends with celebration, with peace, with the return of light to the universe.
The second Mahishasura falls, the entire cosmos just erupts in joy. The heavens literally rain flowers down on the goddess, and all the celestial beings sing her praises. The gods reclaim their homes, peace returns to the earth, and most importantly, Dharma, that cosmic order and righteousness, was finally restored.
And that victory really cemented her lasting significance. Today, Maa Katyayani is worshipped as the ultimate protector of Dharma, the destroyer of all evil and negativity. People pray to her for courage and strength to get through life's challenges. It's also believed that she fulfills the wishes of her devotees, and very specifically, she blesses unmarried women who worship her with true devotion to find a wonderful partner.
Okay, so that was an amazing story, right? But beyond all the action and divine power, there's a really deep and timeless message here for all of us. So let's talk about what we can really take away from this incredible narrative.
So, after hearing all of that, what do you think is the real takeaway here? What's the core message? Because it's not just about a battle that was fought a long, long time ago. It's a powerful metaphor for the battles we all fight within ourselves and in the world around us every single day.
You know, at the very heart of this story is this concept of Dharma. And Dharma isn't just some old-fashioned word. It's the principle of cosmic order, of doing what's right, of living up to your moral duty. Her victory wasn't just a physical one, it was the ultimate triumph of righteousness over righteousness, of order over chaos, of light over darkness. And that really brings us to our final, powerful thought. The legend of Maa Katyayani leaves us with this incredibly empowering message. When you're faced with injustice or challenges that seem impossible to overcome, you don't have to give in to fear. Instead, we have to find our inner strength, face them with courage, and have faith that in the end, truth and righteousness, Dharma, will always, always prevail.